we're keeping things together because things fall apart. You know,
for sure. That's a true statement, all in one, and that's how you start the show. You know what I'm saying?
I'm Frank 5D, Workload.
Man, Council Polly Rob, man, let's get right to it.
Yep. There was an episode of the Howard Stern show recorded in about was 2017.
Right.
That just released a couple of days ago,
mm-hmm.
featuring Compton's own Kendrick Lamar.
Right.
It was a very interesting interview. What stood out to you?
Well, first off, the first thing I thought was, why did they release it now? Was it something like, was it a clearance issue with TDE? Did TDE say, hey, let's not release this interview? You know what I mean? Or was it just like lost footage, or they recovered a hard drive or something like that? I think about, stuff like that. But very good interview. Very good interview. You know what I'm saying? In terms of like, because when you listen to the interview, you realize that it's after his third album comes out, Damn. You know what I mean? And he's in the Grammy running before we see him win all the Grammys for Damn. And it's really telling, because we have hindsight right now in terms of like, we seen, after Damned, after Mr. Morale, after the Kendrick and Drake battle, after the GNX, you know what I mean? And the funny part about, like, for me, like, the one thing that stood out to me was how in pocket he was with answering questions. Like, he was this was past just having media training. He would only say the things that he wanted to say. Like, right. There was, Howard Stern, like, first off, shout out to Howard Stern, because Howard Stern is one of the best media personalities in the game.
He's still the king of media.
For sure.
Media. Yeah.
For sure. And he has a track record of kind of, helping the interviewee slip up, you know what I'm saying? Or the guest, I would say. He knows how to talk to where he can get a lot of information out of you. Yeah. But Kendrick Lamar was like literally like he was on track with what he wanted to say. Even when Howard Stern was saying certain things like, yeah, man, so it's a lot of gangbanging going on, people being shot left and right, things like that. And for certain things that Howard would say, Kendrick would just either just pause and not say anything. He wouldn't even say, He'll just wait till Howard Stern gets to the question that he's going to answer. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Which was dope because that lets me know that it's like we're seeing a prequel of when, he's
everything
doing
that came after.
Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy.
That's what I took from it. It how calculated everything was with him.
Right.
And not that this is the first time I've seen that from him, but yeah, his speech and his mannerisms are all extremely controlled.
Right.
He definitely knows how to open up without opening up, which is, a good interviewee. I do a lot of interviews. Interviews can be like a tug of war.
Right.
Torre just did a good episode of his show. Mm-hmm. And he was talking about the battle of interviewing and who was he talking about interviewing? And they just would Courtney Love. He was interviewing Courtney Love, and this is, of course, an old interview, like just after Kurt had passed, and he was just talking about how he had to get her, the back and forth, the opening up, and how intense it was. And I definitely know exactly how that goes. So yeah, that's what I took away. And the other thing is, he's the same dude he's always been.
For sure. It's crazy because it's almost like, as people grow in their music, there's sometimes certain things that, they don't get to explain because they're so much of a superstar, so much of just on rise with what they're doing. And Kendrick is okay with the mysteriousness of certain things that you just don't know. the one thing I will say is he talked about Top Dog for about like a good 4 to 6 minutes or so. It was a good conversation talking about Top Dog, you know, being in his life. Of course, the story of Duckworth, you know, that whole story, you know what I mean? If you know, you know. And I love the way that even when Howard Stern mentioned Suge Knight in the context of some people may think that Top Dog, because he's an executive and because of how he looks as far as being a big sturdy guy, that you would compare him to Suge Knight. Right. And then Kendrick took the time to explain how different Top Dog is, not just from Suge Knight, but from every executive that you may come across, you know what I'm saying, that's done great things in music, you know what I mean? Right. Which I love that, because sometimes it's about telling the story, not just the story that you want to tell, but the story that's true. You know what I mean? It's just a real story. Like Top Dog seen something in him, wanted him to excel, and he does unique business practices because it's fair. You know what I'm saying? And it's what the artists want. You know what I'm saying? I love that element of it. Did you see Kendrick is in all black at this moment? Right. So you can tell the energy of the damn album based on how he's looking. Like it's crazy. It's crazy. And it's funny because we've seen, the one thing I will say that we've seen a good progression of, we've seen a progression of his appearance. You know what I'm saying? Not just clothes, but just, you know, his hair, you know what I'm saying? Even though he poised himself the same way, we gradually see a fashion change with Kendrick Lamar per album. You know what I mean? Per album is different, which I think that's dope. You know what I mean? And now that it is funny because he's in all black, got the hoodie on, he in New York, we get the damn album, and then Mr. Morale comes right after, which is more of a sentimental, emotional, I'm trying to find my peace album. The more I watched the interview, the more I started thinking like, man, we literally watched Kendrick on his emotional journey through the albums. You know, it was like Good Kid, Mad City. Mm-hmm. You're telling the story of your life and how you perceive it, how you've seen it. You know, and
you know what's stupid crazy to me is it was before that. You know, I think being from the West, you know, we started actually, everybody started actually paying attention like around Overly Dedicated. And right. What was that, 2008, 2009, something like that. Mm-hmm. But he had already signed a development deal. Right. So we're talking about a dude who has literally been in the game for 20 years now.
Facts.
And what was really crazy to me, like in the interview didn't, kind of sidebar, the interview didn't bring this up, but it just reminded me, I guess, that I'm from the West and I was paying attention that whole time. Right. And it just once what swimming pools dropped, you know, when he went mainstream, I didn't like the record. It's kind of still my least favorite record from that classic of an album. Right. But it took me until the beef just a couple years ago to realize that people don't like Kendrick Lamar. Like we're talking about a dude who is like, we're on a creativity level and this hip hop thing of ours. He is one of the best motherfuckers that we've ever seen in this shit. And you know, my bad for rambling.
No. I'm glad you said that, because I it's not that I don't feel like, it's not that they don't like Kendrick Lamar. I think that they don't like the concept of how truly creatively far he is from other artists.
Because he is miles ahead, like for real.
He is miles ahead. Records that he's making, nobody's making. He gives me the same feel, like even first album. Bitch Don't Kill My Vibe is a great record. But when I heard what's my record? The record where he talks about what was it? I'm gonna remember, but there's a record on his first album where he talks about 3 different concepts. He talks about a guy as a gangster, Sing About Me. Sing About Me. That's what it is. He talks about the life of a gangster. He talks about the life of a prostitute. And then he talks about, he kind of brings it full circle.
It's like 6 minutes long. It's an epic of a record.
Epic of a record. If it was a movie, it would be a damn good movie.
Yeah.
He's doing songs, even Swimming Pools, the song that you least like. The song is about drowning in liquor, alcoholism, but he called this Swimming Pools. Like, he's far ahead of a lot of these artists, and instead of people admitting it, they try their best to try to pit him against different people. Like keep in mind, he's very competitive, but when you hear him talk in interviews, his competitive nature is through music and hip hop and through lyricism. It's not based on I hate these people. I'm trying to be competitive against them. Nobody wanted to go against him on that Control verse.
Nobody responded really hard. Nobody
wanted that smoke.
Right.
Nobody wanted that smoke.
I do remember a couple responses, but nobody really pushed the issue. It was more just like, okay, you said that, so I'm gonna say this.
Right. Most of the responses were from people who he didn't mention. Those were most of the responses.
That part too.
You feel me? So then music-wise, remember, he's doing these competitive, energies, the BT Cypher, certain freestyle. He's doing this, but on the other side, with his albums, he's creating masterpieces. Yeah. You want to get in a battle with a dude who made an album that won a Pulitzer?
And that's what I'm saying. That was one point that I kind of glossed over when I was talking about. He's been in the game for 20 years. He's been on point for that long,
dude.
And like you mentioned, wins the highest writing award that one can win, for literature, for a hip hop album.
4 words, 4 words, 4 concepts, for understanding of the process of writing. Pulitzers are for people who have done extraordinary things in the literacy field, in some levels, the highest level of education, so many different levels. This man is a rapper,
right?
And from Compton.
So
it's like I understand that fans and other artists don't want it to seem like it's so far, but it's so far. It's real. Let's be honest.
What else would have been out so far out of this damn world, which came up in the interview, is a Prince and Dot record.
Oh man!
And I of course I love the record. What was it? It was the one with Rhapsody. Complexion. Yeah. With Prince would have rocked out. That would have been dope.
I think they would have did a couple of records. I think they would have did a couple. Because you remember he said he went to the house. They went in the studio. They was chilling for a while.
He played.
He had a whole event going on in the back. A whole other concert going. So he like, man, come get on stage. Kendrick get on stage and he forgets. Of course they both forget. Everybody forget to go back to the studio. But let's say Kendrick says, okay, I'm going to go home. I'm going to come back 2 or 3 days later, and they actually lock you in the studio. They're not doing one record. I promise you they're not doing one record.
I could see that coming from you. I believe you.
They going in. And then on top of that, you got to remember, somebody like Prince, who's a musical genius, you know what I mean? When you get comfortable and you're working with somebody like Prince, all of those riffs and all of those creative elements he's adding, you want to keep all of that. Hey man, I want save that. Right. I would have loved to see Soundwave come in the studio as well and help. All of Kendrick's team members are part of creating his albums. I would have loved for them to also come in and vibe with Prince as well. You get what I'm saying? I don't know if that would have happened, but it would have been a great thing.
Something tells me at least Soundwave would have been involved.
For sure. That's his engineer and his producer. Pull up. You feel me? That right there, for Prince to even communicate with you and want you to do music is that in itself. That in itself. You know what I mean? Just saying. I'm just saying. Like that's what makes Kendrick exceptional. You know what I'm saying? Is because he could cross genres. I mean, he talked about the Taylor Swift situation, and regardless of you liking pop or not, that record came together to be a success. It was a good record. It was a good record. I listen to it? I don't have to because I got so many other K-Dot songs I could enjoy. You know what I mean? But it was a great record. And then also, if you just think about just the concept of Kendrick's creativity, he's probably one of the artists that you don't have a problem with him getting on any style of record. I feel like he can apply himself to any type of record. You know what I'm saying? Like judging by the way how he flips his words, does cadences, his element, like I can hear him on so much other
together, puts entire concepts together, like within records to form together for a whole project, sort of like how the MCU does, how they did their first couple phases,
Right. I mean,
each individual project, each individual record forms together to make the entire thing. Like, the dude is quite fucking amazing when he does that. Continue.
Listen, I want to say this. I think I know why they didn't release this interview.
Why?
I think this interview gave so much information that he never said before. Like he's never mentioned the Prince situation before. He's never really talked about the Taylor Swift record. Of course, well, the Duckworth, I mean, you heard it. You know what I'm saying? Like it's after the damn album, so that's there. But there's so many elements here. I mean, he talks about the Dre situation as well, which I think he talked about that on Big Boy, but that was I think after like the first album. There's a lot of things in this interview that I think they didn't want to give away so early. I think they want to scale that down because his mysteriousness is what makes a lot of these things admirable, because it makes people think about what's the possibility. You know what I mean? So I think they held the interview for that reason, because
so you led with that too. Is there an album coming?
Not based off this interview, but there is a new album coming. He got to be. I mean, his trajectory right now is phenomenal, and even with GNX being an album that is still a successful album, but wasn't everybody's cup of tea. It was a certain particular, collection of people who can really understand and enjoy that album to the fullest. But there's still, like, even with all of these albums he dropped, what was it, 5 albums? There's still so much more that he has to say. It's so much. There's so much more that he can give us, and not trying to be greedy, because it's just what it is. Like, he has so much that he can build upon. I want to hear the album where he just completely explodes. I actually thought, let's just rewind back a little bit. I actually thought that the before Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, I thought that next album was going to be where he pretty much attacks everybody. I thought it was going to be Control verse times 12 records. That's what I thought was going to happen. I thought he was going to go at everybody, because that was like, Damn was so successful. You know what I'm saying? Everybody was still talking about him going at people. I thought he was going to do it right then, but then he did the complete opposite.
I'm glad he did. I'm glad he didn't go.
Right. And then Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, which in my opinion is one of my favorite albums from Kendrick. And we'll talk about that later, but it's really, really nice album. And I think that album is going to catch up to itself sooner or later. Like, it's going to catch up to itself in terms of the context of it. People are going to be studying that pretty soon. And
of course, if you know, like it was It needs no catching up with me. Yeah.
Right.
We'll continue.
And then, but so I'm thinking he was going to explode. He didn't do it then. Then he did Next was pure West Coast energy, which I love that he did that because that's in his belt. That's done. I think this new album gotta be explosion. It gotta be anthems. I'm not saying you gotta diss nobody because you did that already, but I want it to just be anthems after explosions. It just gotta be a war type album. Just make a war type album, man. Do it one time for the one time. You know what I'm saying? Because if I'm thinking, and let's go back to features, right? First off, I believe a new album is coming for sure. Whether it comes out the end of this year, I think nobody won't drop during Hove season. Hove season is winter season. Nobody won't drop around there. But I think whenever he drops, which is probably like the top of next year, whenever he drops his album, I think the features that's warranted, and I'm not even talking about big features, but I'm talking about features with eclectic artists, some of the, like I would love for him and Tierra Whack to do a record. I would love for him and Jill Scott to do something powerful. I would finally love for Rhapsody to be a part of his album because of the first album, the first debut album from Rhapsody with Kendrick being on the first song. I would love to just pay it forward. I'm pretty sure he's getting back with his boys, Terrace Martin, Robert Glasper, like that whole energy. I would love for them to be the ones with Soundwave and, you know, all of the fixes, Thundercat, you know what I'm saying, to be a part of creating something great. But then you got to do an official Kendrick and Jay-Z record, an official one, not the remix that Don't Kill My Vibe. Kendrick and Jay, what we doing?
I agree with that. I think it's about time for that. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you know, bring Keem along. You know what I'm saying? Because Baby Keem adds to the texture of just great music with Kendrick. And then I need to see Keem, Kendrick, and somebody of major hip hop status. Like that's what I want to see. I want to see his whatever that Blueprint album is, because you know Blueprint is to Jay-Z is his magnum opus, right? So whatever that is for Kendrick, if it's not damn, it needs to be whatever this next album is. You know what I mean?
It's about time for that.
For sure.
I'd love to see that too. You know, transition time.
Yeah.
But you know, we still on the same kind of page. You know, record of the day. We usually gonna pick a number from 1 through 10, and you know we shuffle the records and you know pick one. But in honor of today's record of the day is
you know it, Good Kid, Mad City, the van.
We got the photos there. We got the credits here. We got the track list here. Somebody got this for me. Something tells me it was a Target record. Clear vinyl, you know. I think I played it a couple times. Favorite record for me was Good Kid. The one that was produced by Pharrell. Massive Nation, baby. Look inside the walls of here. Yeah, but so many good records. Money Trees. He had the Drake feature right here, which at the time was not a part of the Drake stimulus package, and still is not to this day. You know, that was a thing back then. You know, it was the Drake stimulus package, but that wasn't applied to this one right here. What else? We mentioned Sing About Me, I'm Dying of Thirst. What a fucking epic of a record.
Dying of Thirst is so crazy. That little encore at the end, Dying of Thirst is so crazy.
The whole theme of being a good kid in the Mad City, fucking around with his homies. He trying to get back to Shireen. Moms is calling him the whole time. This was one hell of a fucking project.
For sure. Even Shireen, even the first record, Shireen, take you on that journey that we all know. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's getting on the bus, whether it's having a stolen whip, but you're trying to get to this girl because you already know, like, you're trying to get it popping. You know what I'm saying? Hey, but you know you're going into the wrong neighborhood. It's not safe. It's not right. But it feel like something you got to do. Like, it's real. Come on, man. Come on.
Right.
Love that.
What a classic.
Classic.
Here we go, man. 38 Spesh, Won't Let Go. Yeah, right. He hit the Summer Jam stage. He did the acapella of his verse from Fool's Mate, going at, you know, these characters, these figures in this thing of ours. But it didn't seem to hit. It seemed like with the in-house crowd or on social media at all. What's more is everyone is asking why he's going at Jadakiss. I think we know why. It was a while ago from the Benny the Butcher album. And you know, it was I had to go back and listen. It's a very memorable track.
Incredible record. All three of them. Incredible.
Right. And one of Benny's most slept on in between Griselda projects. Yeah. Like, you know, how they all slip them in. Like,
for sure.
Yeah, one of his best. What does it take for a rapper like 38 Spesh, you know, or any rapper, I guess, who's on their shit, on their game, like 38 is? Like, you know, he's been for a while. When is it time to get over I'm the best?
Well, in my opinion, you don't never have to get over I'm the best, but I love 38 Spesh. I listen to all his albums. He's a legend. He's going to continue to trailblaze. But the one thing about it is, when you're on a trajectory, right? You know, lyric wise, making music, things like that, people usually pay attention to a rising star that's doing his thing, and then he might go at a legendary artist or whatnot. It's the trajectory that makes somebody say, maybe this might be a good back and forth. The problem with that is, in all due respect to 38 Spesh, he's incredible. His trajectory is not really a trajectory because he's consistently been doing his thing the whole way through. He hasn't gone up, hasn't gone down. There's no rise, no fall. It's just consistent. So I'm saying, when he's doing his thing and that record comes out with Jadakiss is always who he is. In order for somebody to deem this battle something worthy, you got to be on the rise as the artist that's going at the legend. Like, as dope as he is, we not letting up. Oh, we not going to Jadakiss saying, oh, he's saying something about you. You need to go at him. Nobody feels like Jadakiss needs to respond. I haven't heard not one bar that somebody has reported that's dope enough for Jadakiss to go at him. I'm sorry.
And honestly, the only thing that I can take that Jadakiss was saying to him was, is this about a verse or about a career?
That's it.
That's
all
it.
I want to know. Like, dude, maybe I'm just busy at this moment. Are you mad that you didn't get the verse on time, or are you coming after me? Because Jadakiss ain't moved yet. He's like, I don't feel like you coming after me. I just feel like it's probably some miscommunication, which I'm not going after that.
Right.
And even if there was a battle, you got to remember, anytime it's somebody from upstate New York that try to battle somebody that's from the boroughs, it's already shaky. You already on a losing side.
So give me some more insight. Come on, you're born and raised in one of the boroughs. What's that about? Because it seems like, you know, the issue, people want to make that the issue, I guess.
Because the boroughs, in a lot of people's opinions, and they can be right or wrong, but in the boroughs is where all the shit is happening. Hip hop is happening in the boroughs.
I mean, but you know, that's kind of cheap. hip hop is also happening in Buffalo. Hip hop is also happening in Rochester.
I agree. I agree. But at the same time, you got to remember, like, Los Angeles is different from the Inland Empire. It is the popular element in California. So yes, hip hop is happening everywhere, but when you talk about what's going on in the cities, like when people go to New York, they don't go to New York to go to Albany. Sorry, they don't go there to go to. They're not choosing to go to Buffalo.
Nobody wants to go to Synecdoche. I know what you mean. I know,
but all I'm saying is that's how people are thinking. They're thinking about wherever the highest point of the element of hip hop is happening. That's where they deem that's the soil. They're deeming the Mecca in the boroughs. This is what it is. So you're behind.
That's the only difference. It's just the homeland. It's just that's the only difference.
Well, I mean, that's one part of it because the popularity of artists stems from that. When an artist is dope and he's fire and he's from a popular place on the map, he gets more of the recognition a lot faster. A lot of people in these other places have to work a lot harder to get that recognition. So I'm saying when somebody immediately thinks about somebody that's not from a popular place and somebody that's from a popular place, I'm saying that the person that's on a not popular place is in a losing battle already. They're not even going to pitch you against somebody that's put in work. And also, this is another thing. When you're in the boroughs, you don't have like 10 or 20 other dope artists that's happening. You have hundreds, thousands of people that's nice in this little area.
And then another 100,000 more that's next up.
Right. And then the level of competition is even at its heightened again. So that's the reason why a lot of popular places get more artists that are popular faster, is only because the competition level that people think in their brain is at an all-time high in these popular places. Nothing different than even on the West Coast. It's like, yeah, Compton is, you got hundreds of artists. That's nice. And not saying that they battle each other all the time, but mentally they're living up to the expectations or fighting to live up to the expectations of an artist that's 2 blocks away from them. They're going against that all day, every day. Not saying that the other smaller places are not, but not at the value that these larger places are.
Well, so I mean, I kind of liken what's going on out there, because I mean, you're talking about artists in Compton, and I don't know, compared to LA, to Inglewood, to I don't know, Carson or whatever. There's tons of artists that come from everywhere out there, just like in New York. But I look at New York City's relationship with upstate as not even nowhere near LA's relationship with the Bay. And I think that's more of an apt, comparison.
That might be a thing too.
Why isn't NYC's relationship with upstate Rochester? Because, I fucks with a whole lot of artists up there, not just Griselda. Shout out to Tony Boy. Shout out Pretty Bully. Shout out P.A. Dre. Everybody up there.
Like I said, these guys are fire. That don't take nothing away from their artistry. I'm just looking at how people perceive artists from popular places as opposed to non-popular. It's already you're behind the curve already. Even with the concept of people discovering artists from a Buffalo, from a Hempstead, stuff like that. Like, people are behind the curve on even knowing that these artists are developed. So I'm saying there's a couple of things that people think about when you think about rap battles, right? You think about where the person is from, the validity of what they've done in their city, the lyricism, the music, the everything. There's most people, especially from the boroughs, that believe that Jadakiss is one of the end-all be-alls. He's one of the super saiyans of competitiveness, lyricism, being in the trenches, learning his craft. He's one of the best at it. You're going to pick Jadakiss to go after, for sure. So now it's like, okay, who's going against Jadakiss? oh, 38 Spesh, a legend, put in his work, did his thing, never really charted anything, but he's underground and he's fire.
Been on a record with him and held his own too.
Right, and held his own and did his thing. People might say that he had the better verse, which I believe he did.
I think you splitting hairs. All three of them, Benny, Spesh, and what you call it, they was all right there with each other.
Right. So now you lay out the resume of 38 Spesh. Now you say, okay, 38 Spesh is going after Jadakiss. Based on what I just said, how many people do you think is going to believe that this is going to be either a great battle, a battle that needs to happen, which is the most important part? If the fans want to see it, God damn it, make it happen. But I don't think people want to see that. I don't even think people are believing, which I think he's a formidable opponent for sure. But I don't think a lot of people are not thinking that he's that formidable.
They're not,
and that's the problem.
Is to respond.
That's the problem. So it's like
we're saying he shouldn't.
Yeah, I'm saying there's nothing there. And then when you get to the root of it, we still don't know if he's even mad about this or if he's just taking a shot just to see who's lyrically talented. I mean, it's just nothing there. So even when I listen to the diss, I'm like, his bars is fire, but it's just it don't feel the same.
And it definitely didn't feel the same when he did it a cappella on the stage. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
That was not the look.
And that would be the moment where it would be at its most prominent if it was something there. Right. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. People go crazy like, they making calls and everything. Right. You're not hearing nothing about that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying, I think it's. I don't think they should even engage in any type of battle because it's not gonna do nothing. I mean, I would rather them just work on records together, or 38 Spesh officially gets his verse from Jadakiss. You know what I mean?
That would be dope if that just came from it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of feels like a cry for help. I don't know. Why are you poking the dragon like that? Like,
right. His career, like 38 Spesh career is already cemented. You're already who you are. You ain't got to go this route. You know what I'm saying?
Kind of stemming from that, I asked you this before in an interview that we did a little while ago. LA is New York. What are the boroughs?
So you'll have.
I think I got a graphic. Let me see if I can throw out the graphic. Go ahead.
So you'll have LA, Compton, Long Beach. Hollywood,
It looks like all of Compton is in there. We're missing parts of LA. Long Beach is excluded.
You would exclude Long Beach?
I'm not excluding Long Beach. I'm going by this map that we have on the screen. It might not be big enough for everybody to see, but
I would. My bias will put Inglewood in it, but I don't think it might be as big. But nah, I think it might.
It looks like we have like a third of Inglewood included. A third of it. If we were to be able to look at this map better, I think where I grew up might have been right on the borderline of that. But that is equated to Manhattan. This is an overlay of the boroughs over Los Angeles. As we can see, the metropolitan area is quite bigger than Los Angeles would be, which is quite nuts because they are just neck and neck on population.
Well, but I'm not talking about size. I mean, if it's like size of territory,
I'm just kind of breaking down the map. I get you. If I were to try and equate what it really would be, I would squish Manhattan over to the west this way to include a lot more of Inglewood. I'd squish everything to the west, honestly, and a bit to the south. Because
for me, it's like, okay, Los Angeles is Brooklyn or Queens, whichever one. You know what I'm saying? Well, let's say Los Angeles is Queens because Queens has a bigger layout, right? And then Manhattan is Hollywood. The Bronx is Long Beach. Staten Island. No, I'm sorry. The Bronx is Compton. Staten Island is Long Beach. And let's see, what will Brooklyn be? That's a good question. That's a good question. What will Brooklyn be? I mean,
I think I'm looking at, according to the map, I think Brooklyn is kind of appropriately situated, including most of Compton, pretty much all of Compton, a little bit of Bellflower, stretching down to Lakewood. And I'm going off the geographic of how the map actually looks. Right. I know exactly what you mean, like equating how the places are to the boroughs, you know, where they are. I mean, this place has the Bronx, you know, this map has the Bronx up in Monterey Park all the way up to, you know, the borderline of Pasadena. And so they're just equating how if you place it on the map, geographically.
Exactly.
Right.
No, I definitely want a place like that. But I mean, I would say Brooklyn would probably be like Burbank and, you know, and like North Hollywood and things like that. I would probably do something like that. Because, and I'm thinking about styles of like cities, like the style of the city, how would that approach? Like Staten Island is definitely like a Long Beach thing, you know what I'm saying? And everything that encompasses Long Beach. Queens, because it's a bigger territory, would be like how Los Angeles is, because Los Angeles County comprises of so many other things. Manhattan, of course, is Hollywood. That's a given. You know what I mean? The popular rich place, you know, boom, boom. The Bronx for me would be Compton, because the Bronx is very enriched in culture, and I think Compton is a reflection of that for California, LA. It's enriched in culture, not just hip hop culture, but culture of the, you know, the people with houses, culture of, you know, Black communities, culture of Latino communities, you know, a little bit of everything. Los Angeles has that as well, like how it was with Queens, enriched in culture. You know what I mean? You got the Latinos, you got the Blacks, the Asians, everything. And then Brooklyn will probably be like a collection of like Burbank and the cities surrounding it, because, I mean, New Brooklyn would be that. The old Brooklyn would be almost more like Los Angeles, but the newer Brooklyn, in my opinion, would be like a combination between, because of the popularity of things that happen in the city, it would be a combination of Burbank and like the surrounding cities around that. You know what I mean? That's how I would do it. That's how I would lay it out.
Nice, you know, and I take your word for it. I asked you that a while ago, but interesting conversation, you know, because there are only a few centers of the world, of this world that we have, and LA and New York are.
And also I wouldn't mind the IE being like Brooklyn as well. I wouldn't mind that. You know what I'm saying? Because in my opinion, I think the IE is a collective and a structure, a community of people that's very, very relevant to the city. You know what I'm saying? Like people, they live out there and they come drive down to LA to come work, or drive down to Hollywood, or so it's a big part of it. I don't know too much about it to even speak on that per se, but I would definitely include the IE.
10 every morning for about an
hour. For sure. That's a real thing. You know what I'm saying? The commute, the energy behind it, you know what I mean? People wanting to move away from the initial city to still be able to live but get to the city. That's a real thing. That happens in New York all the time. So, you know, just like how Long Island is to Manhattan and to, you know, Brooklyn and things like that. So I will put IE in there as well. You know what I mean? Nothing wrong with that at all. You know what I mean?
Dope. I'm gonna continue to push that issue and see what people think. Yeah,
that's that's a great question for sure.
Just like where would hip hop have started if it didn't start in New York? We're not doing that right now.
Yeesh.
You know, I guess last topic. I don't know. I know it matters to the artist a lot, and you know, but in your opinion, as a producer extraordinaire, you know, shout out to that you've been doing forever. Shout out local astronauts, everything that you guys are doing
local
over there.
Astronauts, the team.
What does, again, I know it means a whole lot to the artist. What does the XXL freshman list mean for the audience?
Well,
it started as, you know, an innovative thing.
Right.
Like they just cannot get over themselves at this point.
Yeah. I mean, you know, when it first started, it was a firsthand look of the artists from different regions that you may not be up on. You know what I mean? Because XXL, they had so many artists from different regions that was dope on the rise. They probably had a record or two that were going in good places, but it's hard to get national exposure. So XXL, go ahead.
Let's take a look at that class. The first XXL class.
It's classic.
Okay, Plies,
so
Rich Boy.
Man.
Rich Boy is probably, you know, one of the ones who's still not in the scene.
Right.
Lupe Fiasco, Boosie, Gorilla Zoe. Shout out Gorilla Zoe.
Gorilla Zoe has some records. He had records.
Talking about Compton this entire, you know, episode. Joel Ortiz, Crooked, King Crooked. Talking about Papoose and Young Dro.
Okay, so if you look at all of these artists right here, majority of them, I mean, this class is a very, very potent class. In your respective region, these were the dudes. Like Saigon was one of them ones, for sure. His name was ringing all throughout New York, going crazy. Plies, fire artist. He was going up. His tapes was going crazy. You know,
still doing his thing as a personality.
Right. Rich Boy, very great records. First two records was fire.
One of the most iconic records in hip hop.
For sure. You know, and Gorilla Zoe, like all of these artists here, Joel Ortiz, come on, man, Bronx, the Bronx super lyricist. You know what I mean? Like, we're talking about Crooked Eye. You know what Crooked Eye means to the city. You know what I'm saying? Like all these, even Young Dro probably have one of the top 5 songs of the South, in my opinion. He got one of the top 5 songs of the South.
He was also one of the best dressed rappers.
Right.
Which is so underrated these days, you know. Which is so underrated. Young Dro was pretty dappered and suited and booted.
Right.
And he's on his sobriety journey. Shout out Young Dro.
Shout out to Dro.
We did a story on that.
Shout out Fiasco. We all know how great he is already. So when you think about it, in that time frame, somebody would know Crooked Eye, Gorilla Zoe, but they wouldn't know Lupe Fiasco, or they wouldn't know Papoose, or they wouldn't know Saigon. And then somebody would know Saigon, they would know Papoose, but they wouldn't know Young Dro. They wouldn't know
variety.
Joel, you know what I mean? Like, that's how it works. So that was the great part about XXL, is that you would see, if you're in a particular region, you would see somebody that's been trailblazing, you would give them kudos, but you would also see other artists from other regions and say, hey, okay, I haven't heard of him. I haven't heard of her. Let's see what's going on. You know what I'm saying?
That's the same thing. Right. And that's the same thing with what was people widely consider as one of the best classes.
Right. For sure.
2010.
Right. Boom.
These guys. J. Cole.
This might be the best class in my opinion.
Exactly. This is widely considered one of the best class, the best class ever. For sure. And, you know, everybody's not still here. Everybody still makes waves, though.
Right.
But the ones who are still making waves are making major waves still.
Right.
And rest in peace to, of course, you know, our guy.
For sure.
But yeah, now contrast that with this year's. A lot of people doing their thing, but what is the difference?
Well, for me, in my opinion, I think the covers are still where it needs to be. I also think that the regional concept, in my opinion, is still kind of there. The problem is when they expanded doing these covers, they expanded it to freestyles, they expanded it to interviews and conversations. The problem with that is, and hear me out, the problem with that is when you start doing freestyles are still considered a heavy lyricist type of situation. When you do freestyles, that means that in everybody's mind, you're about to say some thought-provoking shit that we've probably never heard before, or how it's approached by you hasn't been seen before.
This year's freestyle was kind of ugly.
Right. When you do that,
I mean,
right, the cypher, yeah. When you do that, you put these artists in a boat to have to be something that they're not. None of these artists are laid out to be lyricists. They're making music, they're making songs, they're making something that is keen to them and not towards hip hop. That's the problem. You know what I mean? When you look at, can you go back to the Nipsey Hussle cover? Go back to that one. Okay, so out of all of these artists, there's some lyricists, J. Cole, you know what I'm saying? I consider Nipsey Hussle and J. Rock a lyricist, but they still make great songs. For Sean, lyricist, still great song maker. Big Sean, lyricist, song maker. J. Cole, lyricist, super lyricist. OJ the Juice Man, good song maker. All of these, everybody here.
Wiz Khalifa's right there.
Wiz Khalifa, man, great song maker. So
Freddie Gibbs is right there.
Right. So, Alexa, quiet, please. So, but the problem is, did you ever get a freestyle with all these artists for the XXL? No, you had to go search their music and tune into them. Now, if the freestyle would have happened, everybody would have smoked it, but that's not the goal. The goal is to tune into their life, read about them, go figure out their music, and go see what's up. Now that you get to these new covers, they're trying to get them to do a freestyle, and they try to get them to do an acapella, knowing that these kids ain't got no business doing nothing acapella. And I'm not saying that they're bad. I'm not saying that they're bad. I'm saying you're giving them something that you're trying to get content and monetize off of that they don't do.
Well, some of it was bad. Some of it was bad. Like we're not saying they're bad, but some of that cipher was bad.
Right.
Honestly, and we've had plenty of examples of people pointing out how and why it was bad over as long as this thing of ours has been going through this atrophy. They're like looking at from this to this, we were just talking about what's her name? We was just talking about Niecy too. Trim. We were just talking about Trim.
Trim is a good artist. Trim is a good artist.
But all of them are decent. Miles is pretty good. Belly Gang, like Larizi, we've been talking about Larizi for the last 4 years.
Right. But they're setting them up for failure because they're getting them to do something that they don't do. The XXL freshman cover should just be conversations with the artists, where you've been, what you're trying to do, what's your aspirations, the content around that, them meshing together, doing a thing. But of course, the world has been doing a bunch of freestyles and mic drops. So XXL says, hey, let's get a part of that wave. It gets some numbers up. And it's going backwards. Because now what they're doing is they're making reaction videos to the XXL ciphers, and they're bashing the artists when they don't do well. Now it's working against them backwards. You feel me? And don't take away the fact that people don't read no more, so the actual publication of XXL is gone. So now you can't really feed into them because there's no interview aspect to entice the artist, and they're putting their worst attribute in the forefront. The cipher. It's over.
Crazy FIFA is in charge of hip hop.
Right.
It's like a Sharia law on my Sharia more.
Right. Now, you hit it on the money. Now, what I would do is, if XXL was smart, they'll go give On the Radar a bag. Okay, listen to what I'm saying. Go give On the Radar a bag and let them curate the XXL freshman cover. Let them do it. Because one thing that they're going to do, if you want to be Cypher eccentric, let On the Radar sponsor their freestyle session. You can still pick your freshman cover, but your freshman cover doesn't have to be based on them doing a cypher. Your freshman cover is your freshman cover. How about y'all just let them perform the songs like the Color situation with the freshman cover? That'd be better. Yeah. Let them do the Color show, that vibe with the freshman cover, but then you have a whole nother cypher department sponsored by On the Radar. So now the ones who got bars that probably didn't make the cover, but these are the ones that look out for lyricism wise, let On the Radar do that. How about that? Now you're covering.
That's a fucking idea. I mean, it feels like just yesterday when I came up with it myself. Nah,
yeah,
that is a great idea. Yeah,
right. So now, not
or the off the porch dudes. It don't just have to be.
Thank you. Off the porch is I watch them all the time.
Yeah,
because the way that they repurpose the records in a live setting, but also still with instruments where it sounds like the record, and they're literally right outside. They right outside is fire. That's what we need. We put. All I'm saying is, put the artists that you want to celebrate in their proper element so they can be celebrated. Don't try to force, because somebody made a freshman cover and they don't do lyrics. Stop trying to force them to do that. It's tearing the culture apart, in my opinion. It's like, come on, man. Because you know how we do. You know how you feel when somebody say, "Hey, such and such dropped a new freestyle." You know how you feel. If like for instance, I'm about to go react to Simba's latest freestyles. When you hear Simba finna go nuts.
He's like trying to let me not say trying to, but he's one of your favorite rapper.
For sure.
Simba.
And he's grown into that. Now, if Simba was on a freshman cover, you would want him to do a cypher. But you wouldn't want somebody else that doesn't do what he do to come after or before him, because it's over by then.
Was Simba on a freshman cover?
Was he? That is a good question. That's a good question. He needs to be. I mean, it's probably over. He's probably older in the game now.
Yeah, he can't be a freshman anymore.
Right.
And I'm not seeing it anywhere right here, and I'm not looking too far into it. He should have been.
Yeah, watch his freestyles. You already see what he on. But that's what we need to do. We just need to help. And let me say this. Last thing I'll say. It would hip hop publications. Let's just talk about them. Hip hop publications are supposed to cover things that put the artist in the proper light. Not like, you remember when the Source, when they gave you the hip hop quotable, it was your best verse from the song. When they gave you, the 5 mics, 4 mics, they were rating your music based on the quality of it.
And it wasn't like even beyond the hip hop quotable, which was, of course, one of the most influential things that has happened to the culture. Shout out the Source for that, for doing that. But if you had an editorial in the Source, if you had a feature in the Source, you had Chi shooting you, you had T. Eric Monroe shooting photos of you, some of the greatest hip hop photographers that we have. You had some of the greatest curators that were listening to your music with your tour, right? All these people were working in a capacity with the Source, who are the luminaries of this day, and yeah, it was more than just the hip hop quotable, but of course, the hip hop fucking quotable. Everybody was tuning in for those last couple pages to see. Okay,
yeah. I mean, even the unsigned hype. Even the unsigned hype was a great. It was to highlight what you had going, like you said, when you had a whole article where Murder Dog would give articles to the artist that's reasonable. That's regional, but that's trailblazing. I remember I seen a 3-6 Mafia Murder Dog. I'm like, who is these dudes? I gotta see what's going on. By the time you got through the interview, you realize that there's a whole other side of the world where artists is really making some great music.
Right.
What I'm saying is that the publications are supposed to support the greatest part about what the artist is doing. They're not doing that anymore. They're chasing
back in the day, yeah.
Right. They're chasing the idea of what's popular. The one mic drops, the ciphers, they're doing things just to try to get their views and click instead of actually being creative publications. And podcasts and all that stuff too. We need to be held accountable as well. Let's talk about the things that highlight the artist's greatness and what they bring to the table, instead of just talking about the bullshit that people want to talk about because it's supposed to happen. Like even when we talked about 38 Spesh and Jadakiss, the first thing we start off with was these are important artists, a part of our culture. These are guys that you should be listening to. Both sides. Do they have a little beef and drama? For sure. But at the end of the day, guess what's going to happen when you tune into what's going on? You're going to get great music, you're going to get great lyricism, and you're going to get two people who are serious about their craft. That's the bottom line.
Don't let why we're here doing it. You are absolutely correct. That's the bottom line. That's why we're here doing this thing. Things fall apart, and we're trying not to let hip hop fall apart.
For sure. Do not let this thing of ours fall apart. For real.
Yeah, man. Of course, as we end off every episode, we're going to bring the quote up of the day from the novel, from the book, Chino Achebe, Things Fall Apart. I'm trying to share a screen here. Where'd it go? The quote of today is, "We do not ask for wealth because he that has health in children will also have wealth. We do not pray to have money because to have more. We do not pray to have money, but to have more kinsmen. We are better than animals because we have kinsmen. An animal rubs its itching flank against the tree. A man asks his kinsman to scratch it." Do with that as you will. Workload.
Workload. You already know. Let's get it.
I'm Frank 5D. Things fall apart. Peace, y'all.